Hello everyone, Kim from Yesterday's Tomorrows. Come join me while I redo this frame that I got at a local white elephant sale in my town. And I purchased it and I said I can remake this and make it into a vintage inspired shabby chic design that I love. All right, so I'm using Paint Couture products. I just love them. And the color that I'm putting on here right now is called Candlelight. It's really pretty antique color. It has some warm tones in it, which I think will really make the vintage look that I'm wanting to achieve happen. All right, so I'm putting a coat on the wood. I'm not doing the inside because the inside I'm going to be putting some pretty decoupage paper that I have. All right, so now I'm just drawing it, as you see, just like that. And I'm only going to do one coat. I don't think it needs two. I don't mind if some of the color from the other side shows. All right, so now we're going to do crackle finish. Okay, so crackle comes in two steps, 1 and 2. You'll see it right on the bottle. And now I'm putting step 1 on. Now you got to make sure that your project is dry, thoroughly dry. If it's not thoroughly dry, you're not going to get the cracking or the great cracking that you're supposed to be getting. Okay. Some of the crackle might not show up, all right? So make sure your project is thoroughly dry. Now I'm just putting a coat of step 1 on. Now the thicker the coat you put on, the bigger cracks you'll get. So I'm doing some thick, some thin, so I get different size crackles around my frame. All right, so you just put the one coat on just like that, and then after that's done, you're just going to want to dry it. And then after that is dry, then you put your step 2 on. Now, after the step 2, that's when the magic happens. That's when you're going to start to see all your crackling happen. All right, so all the same thing, make sure that step 1 is dry thoroughly before you put step 2 on. There you go. Now, step 1 will feel a little tacky, even though it's dry, FYI. All right, so this is step 2, and you want to put it on. Same thing, put a coat on and dry it, and then the magic happens, and you can start to see the crackling through it. That's the fun part. That's the fun part, when you see the magic happen. I don't know if you could see it in the camera. Can you see the little bit of crackling? Sometimes it's so hard to see on the camera. All right, so now to enhance the crackle, I'm going to be adding the Paint Couture Glaze in Amber Honey. All right, so then you just put it on and then you just wipe it back. Now you can either wipe it back with a paper towel or a wet one. So I'm doing a wet one. I'm using a baby wipe and I'm just wiping it back. And then what happens is the glaze gets in deep in all the nooks and crannies of the crackle finish, and it really gives it a vintage shabby chic look. All right, so there we go. Now, if it didn't get enough inside of the crackle, all you have to do is reapply and get more in. And then what you do is you don't even have to wipe it back as much if you really want a deeper color finish on there. All right, so I'm going to continue putting my Amber Honey Glaze on there and wiping it back with my baby wipe, just like so. And then what you want to do is after it's done, then you also want to dry that too. Now let's see how it looks on the middle part, and it came out really pretty. The middle part has very fine crackling. You'll notice that when you're doing your crackling, because of depending on how thick you put your crackle on, that's going to be the size of the crackle. So I have some very fine crackling and I have some thick cracks, which I think looks really pretty on a project, because then it really looks authentic. Because if you see crackle on any old vintage pieces of wood and things like that, the crackle's not, or the glazing, when it happens naturally, is not always the same. All right, so there we go. So now I'm just going to put the very last one on there, the Amber Honey, and wipe it back. So now we are not done with this project. Now what I did was I also did some resin molds with the 2-part resin from Paint Couture and in white. Now the resin comes in 2 parts, 2 colors. It comes in either black or white, and I chose the white today to use in my molds. Now I just used IOD molds, and I put the 2-part resin of the white in there, and we're going to be doing some molds on there. And then we're also going to put, these are downloads of vintage, a vintage scene and a vintage dress. So let's get that in there first before I put in my molds. All right, so I'm just taking paper glue. This is Beacon 3-in-1 glue that I'm putting on the back of these guys. And then I'm just going to attach it to the paper that was inside the frame. And I'm going to slide it right into the frame. And once you put the paper in, that really changes the look of the frame. All right, there we go. Isn't that pretty? And you just slide it in, and there we go. Even if you kept it like that, it's pretty. But, of course, I need to make it a little bit more fancier. So we're going to attach the molds. So here's the molds that I was speaking about. Now, I already did them ahead of time, and here they are. Now they just need to be painted. All right, so I painted them in a mixture of two colors. I used Paint Couture's Autumn Sage and Paint Couture's Antique Gold metal color, and it's really pretty. What I wanted to achieve was, and I added a little bronze in there too. What I wanted to achieve was I wanted the green to have a little bit of a gold cast to it. So I just mixed them up. You can mix any of the Paint Couture colors together to achieve a certain color that you're looking for. All right, so now I'm just painting my molds. And like I said, my molds were created by using the Paint Couture 2-in-1 resin. And they come in two colors. They come in white and black. And today I'm using the white. All right, so I'm just painting it. And then I will be attaching the molds to my frame. And the glue that I like to use is Type Bond 2-in-1. 2-in-1. Type Bond Quick and Thick is the glue that I like to attach my molds with. So I'm just painting them just like that. And then after I paint them and I put them on, I'm going to be adding a little bit of another color on top of it, just to tie in the vintage feel that I'm trying to achieve with this frame. All right, so here we go. And this is color right here. My favorite, one of my newest favorites to me anyway. It's called Vintage Lace, ladies, Vintage Lace. And I'm just, it's a very, very vintagey color. And I'm just applying it, there we go, Vintage Lace. And I'm just applying it a very light coat. It's opaque, so you're still going to see the crackle through it. And it's just going to give the frame a little bit of a shine and make it more vintagey. Now I'm also going to be adding this Vintage Lace to the molds too, to tie it all together. So it's almost like, I'm almost like doing a dry brush. If you see, I am not dipping the paint in there a lot, so there's very, very little paint on my brush. And can you see the little bit of a shine that it gives and a little bit of a satin antique look? It's so pretty. So now I'm just applying my Type Bond Quick and Thick to my molds, and I will be adding my molds to the project. And this is when it's going to tie everything all together. Now in the picture where you see the dress, there's a little bit, it has some roses in there. It's hard to see on the camera, and there's a little bit of green, so it's going to tie it all together with the frame. All right, so let's see. There we go. So we're going to attach the mold right there, and then we're going to put our other mold on the bottom, and then I have another mold that I'm going to put attached to the small little inside frame that has the really pretty vintage picture with that beautiful vintage dress right there. Okay, so Type Bond Quick and Thick, that's my favorite glue to use to apply my molds. I just apply with my fingers. You can apply it with a brush, whatever you like, but I like it to with my fingers, and then I can see if I'm making sure that I'm getting every nook and cranny, especially the corners. Now, you don't want to put too much, so you don't want it to ooze out. Even if it does ooze out, it dries clear, but you really don't want to. All right, so there we go. So now I got my Vintage Lace again, one of my favorite colors. And then I'm just applying it very, very lightly with a dry brush just to highlight the molds and so that it matches the vintage lace that I applied to the frame. And like I said, it will tie it all together. And this will look very vintagey and shabby chic. So pretty. Ladies, if you like vintage and shabby chic, make sure you like and subscribe to my page, channel. I would love to have you here. If that's your jam, vintage and shabby chic, this is the place to be. All right, so here we go. I am just applying the last bit of the vintage lace to my project. Now, it just needs a little bit of shabby chic of a bow, and I just made a little bow out of scraps of lace and ribbons that I had just to put in the corner, just to tie it all together. And then this is a little brooch, little piece of jewelry that I had with the pearls. And pearls always look vintage to me. So I put that in the middle, and there we go. I tied it all together, and look at this cute little frame picture that you have for your home, just out of a white elephant find. There we go, ladies. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, and come and join me again. I would love to have you. Like I said, my name is Kim from Yesterday's Tomorrows, and welcome to my channel. Thank you again, everyone, for joining me today.